Norman Finkelstein came to the university this week to talk about the Palestine-Israeli conflict. Abdul went to see how the talk was received by the students.
Norman Finkelstein, an American author, activist and a public speaker, is present here at the University of Leeds to talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the context of the current Arab uprising. He's been regarded as an American radical and for his controversial views on the conflict, judging by the protest outside. We are here to listen to what he has to say about this issue.
It is a great pleasure to have him here in Leeds. Please let's give a very warm welcome to Dr. Norman Finkelstein.
No, I totally disagree with that. You say this is the way Israel came. No, Israel, through a certain amount, not a certain amount, a large amount of ruthlessness, but it was able to win the public opinion at the UN General Assembly. And they ran with it. They ran with it. No question about that. But the thing about the Zionists, which makes them, in my opinion, they are real political actors. Every single person in this room, bar none, every single person in this room has heard of the Balfour Declaration. Remember, it's a century ago.
It was actually very exciting, very interesting. And the thing, the summary he was saying is the summary of his experience of his life. But I love the part where he didn't say his personal opinion. What he was saying is all facts, and it's all rational and things that should be done. And his invitation for all the youth to initiate them to take a part in this. And I think it was very amazing because maybe we were not born at the time where Israel or that conflict started. We came to a time where a change in the world is possible. Like as he said, the Arab revolts right now and all of these things, and where we can take part. So, and I thought it was very, very interesting.
How successful do you think it has been in terms of the organisation of your group, the great effort that you've done?
I'm amazed by how successful it was. I really didn't expect this many people to be turning up. In fact, there was a queue all the way out here and sort of out that door. We asked the university if we could have it in the conference auditorium, but they were like, no, you won't get enough people, you won't fill the conference auditorium. And I was like, we will, I promise. But and we did. And I just spoke to one of them now and I was like, so next time we have a conference auditorium? They're like, yeah, sure. I think it was a great success.
Judging by the theoretical perspectives claimed by Theodor Herzl in his book The Jewish State, who argues for the legitimacy of the creation of a Jewish state, considering the atrocities that have occurred in the past, such as the Holocaust. What are your opinions on the creation of a Jewish state, based on his perspectives?
The issue is a legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
The relevant issue is, under current standards of international law,
mm-hmm.
does Israel constitute a state or not? So, rather than look at that, let's take the American example. I don't think you would find many Mexicans who would agree it was legitimate for the United States to steal half of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if you were to ask them, does the border of the United States, is the legitimate border, does it include New Mexico, Arizona, California? I think they would say yes. Both statements are true. Historically, it can't be justified, but nonetheless, as a political reality, it's the legitimate border.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's much different when it comes to Israel Palestine. Can it be historically justified? In my opinion, absolutely not. Is it now a recognized reality by nearly the whole of humankind? I would say yes. Both statements are true.
In your opinion, should there be the creation of state based on religion? Should religion define the creation of state?
Look, I've said I don't believe in states to begin with, but so far as states exist, and obviously if I'm Jewish in the United States, and I would be adamantly opposed to the U.S. being legally a Christian state, and Jews fight very hard to make sure that to make sure that the U.S. is not described as a Christian state. I mean, you would be surprised. American Jews are very tough even to have a Santa Claus in a public place or a Christmas tree. They say, no, that's Christian. We don't want it in public places. So if American Jews, including myself, are very adamant that the state has to be non-religious or not to show preference to any religion. So, of course, to be consistent, I would have to say I oppose a Jewish state in the Middle East for the same reasons, because it inevitably discriminates against the non-Jewish population.
We've had an interesting talk in Leeds. We've had a great audience listening to your opinions. What do you think has created an impact on our student population? Are you satisfied with the turnout?
So I would call it an attentive audience. The security guard is here as a witness. It was not a rowdy audience. And I'm sure lots of people disagreed with this or that aspect of what I had to say. So the most you can hope for is that people listened attentively and that they'll think about what I said. And to that extent, I would say it was a victory. You don't want instant conversion. I don't want to convert people. I want people to think, and then they should convert themselves.
Okay. We were joined here with Dr. Finkelstein, and he's answered our questions well, and it was a great pleasure of having Dr. Finkelstein present here in our university and answering the questions of our students directed towards him. This is Abdul Karim reporting live for Essential.